South Africa, 1915, a nation divided, the wounds of the Boer War still fresh. From this turmoil, a voice emerged. Die Nationalism, later known as Naspers, was born. It was more than just a media company, it was a movement. Naspers gave a platform to Afrikaner nationalism. This ideology sought to uplift the Afrikaner people. It aimed to secure their place in a new South Africa. Naspers became intertwined with this movement. It shaped hearts and minds. Naspers newspapers, like Die Burger, became essential reading. They preached a message of Afrikaner unity. They emphasized cultural preservation. This resonated with many Afrikaners. They felt marginalized after the Boer War. Naspers provided a sense of belonging. It gave them a voice. However, this unity came at a cost. Naspers' message often excluded other groups. It focused on the perceived threat of black South Africans. This narrative would have lasting consequences. It laid the groundwork for the apartheid regime. Naspers' early years were a time of growth. The company expanded its reach. It bought more newspapers. It ventured into magazines and books. With each step, its influence grew. It became a powerful force in South African society. But its association with Afrikaner nationalism would soon take a dark turn. The rise of the National Party in 1948 changed South Africa forever. Apartheid, a system of racial segregation, became law. Naspers, once a voice for Afrikaner nationalism, became a tool of the apartheid state. It used its vast media empire to spread the National Party's message. This message was clear white supremacy. Naspers newspapers became propaganda machines. They justified apartheid. They dehumanized black South Africans. They portrayed them as a threat. This fueled racial tensions. It legitimized discrimination. Naspers' role in this cannot be overstated. Key figures in the National Party, like Hendrik Verwoerd, had close ties to Naspers. Verwoerd, known as the architect of apartheid, was once an editor at a Naspers newspaper. This connection highlights the deep relationship between the National Party and Naspers. Throughout the apartheid years, Naspers profited from the system. It secured government contracts. It faced little competition thanks to censorship. This economic success came at a moral cost. Naspers' legacy became stained with the blood of apartheid. The 1980s were turbulent times in South Africa. Apartheid was crumbling. Sanctions crippled the economy. Naspers, facing an uncertain future, needed a new direction. Enter Koos Bekker. A shrewd businessman, Bekker had a vision. He saw the potential of pay television. In 1985, Naspers launched Mnet. It was a gamble. South Africa was isolated. Technology was limited, but Bekker was determined. He struck deals with international studios. He brought blockbuster movies and shows to South African homes. Mnet was a runaway success. It broke down racial barriers. It provided a much-needed distraction from the political turmoil. This success was crucial for Naspers. It showed that the company could adapt. It could thrive in a changing world. Bekker's vision went beyond television. He saw the internet revolution coming. He knew Naspers had to be a part of it. This foresight would prove to be game-changing. It would transform Naspers from a regional player into a global tech giant. In the late 1990s, the internet was still a Wild West. Few understood its potential. Koos Bekker, however, was not easily deterred. He saw an opportunity in emerging markets. He tasked his team with finding promising startups. One name stood out: Tencent. Tencent, based in China, was developing a messaging app called QQ. It seemed insignificant at the time, but Bekker saw its potential. In 2001, Naspers invested $32 million for a 46.5% stake in Tencent. It was a bold move. China was an unknown entity. Tencent was unproven. The gamble paid off spectacularly. QQ exploded in popularity. It became China's leading messaging app. Tencent expanded into gaming, e-commerce, and online payments. Its value skyrocketed. Naspers' investment in Tencent became the stuff of legend. By 2018, its stake was worth over $175 billion. This windfall transformed Naspers. It went from a regional media company to a global tech behemoth. The Tencent deal was a masterstroke. It cemented Koos Bekker's legacy as a visionary leader. However, it also raised questions. Could Naspers replicate this success, or was it simply riding on Tencent's coattails? Section 5. Bekker's legacy, a tech empire built on controversy. Koos Bekker stepped down as CEO of Naspers in 2014. He left behind a complex legacy. He transformed Naspers from an apartheid-era relic into a global tech giant. His investment in Tencent was a stroke of genius. However, Bekker's past as an apartheid-era prosecutor continued to haunt him. Critics argued that Bekker never fully atoned for his role in the apartheid regime. Naspers, under his leadership, was slow to apologize for its support of apartheid. This silence fueled resentment. It tarnished Naspers' image, even as the company achieved global success. Bekker's defenders argued that he was a product of his time. They pointed to his business acumen. They emphasized his role in transforming Naspers. However, the debate over his legacy remained. Bekker's departure did not erase Naspers' past. The company still faced scrutiny over its apartheid history. It grappled with the challenge of reconciling its past with its present. This would be a defining challenge for Naspers in the years to come. Now, Section 6. Phuthi Mahanyele-Dabengwa, navigating a complex legacy. In 2019, Phuthi Mahanyele-Dabengwa was appointed CEO of Naspers South Africa. Her appointment was historic. She was the first woman and the first black person to hold this position. It signaled a new era for Naspers. However, Mahanyele-Dabengwa's appointment also sparked controversy. Her family's history with the apartheid regime raised eyebrows. Her father, Moale Mahanyele, was a controversial figure. He collaborated with the apartheid government. Her stepmother, Sankia Mahanyele, held high-ranking positions in the apartheid government. Mahanyele-Dabengwa acknowledged her family's past. She distanced herself from their actions. She emphasized her commitment to transformation and social justice. However, her appointment highlighted the enduring legacy of apartheid. It showed how the past continues to shape the present. Mahanyele-Dabengwa faced a daunting task. She had to navigate Naspers' complex legacy. She had to address the company's past while leading it into the future. Her success or failure would have significant implications for Naspers and for South Africa. Section 7. Shadows of the Past. Naspers and Post-Apartheid Controversies. Despite its efforts to move on, Naspers continued to be haunted by its past. The company faced criticism for its handling of its apartheid legacy. Some argued that Naspers had not done enough to atone for its role in propping up the apartheid regime. They demanded a full and unequivocal apology. They called for reparations for the harm caused by Naspers' propaganda. Others questioned Naspers' commitment to transformation in the post-apartheid era. They pointed to the lack of diversity in its senior management. They criticized the company's investment portfolio, which they claimed favored white-owned businesses. Naspers maintained that it had learned from its past. It pointed to its investments in education and social upliftment programs. It highlighted its efforts to promote diversity and inclusion within the company. However, for many South Africans, these gestures rang hollow. They felt that Naspers had not done enough to reckon with its past. They argued that true reconciliation required more than just words and symbolic gestures. The debate over Naspers' past continued to rage. It highlighted the deep divisions that still existed in South African society. It underscored the challenges of achieving true reconciliation in a country still grappling with the legacy of apartheid. Section 8. Media 24, a powerhouse under scrutiny. Media 24, Naspers' media arm, is a dominant force in South African media. It owns a vast network of newspapers, magazines, and websites. This includes News 24, the country's most popular news website. While Media 24 enjoys a large audience, it also faces accusations of bias and political maneuvering. Critics argue that Media 24's coverage often favors the ruling African National Congress, or ANC. They point to instances where critical reporting on the ANC has been suppressed or downplayed. This has led to accusations that Media 24 is too close to the government and that it is being used to stifle dissent. Media 24 has denied these allegations, insisting that it is committed to journalistic integrity and independence. However, the perception of bias persists, fueled by concerns about the concentration of media ownership in South Africa and the potential for this to undermine democracy. The controversy surrounding Media 24 highlights the critical role of a free and independent press in a democratic society. It also underscores the challenges of maintaining this freedom in a country where media ownership is increasingly concentrated in the hands of a few powerful corporations. Section 9, Naspers today, an African giant with a global footprint. Today, Naspers is one of the largest companies in Africa. Its tentacles stretch far beyond the continent. It has investments in over 30 countries. Its portfolio includes e-commerce, food delivery, online classifieds, and more. Naspers has successfully shed its image as an apartheid-era relic. It is now a major player on the global stage. However, Naspers still faces challenges. It needs to reduce its reliance on Tencent. Its investment in the Chinese tech giant still accounts for a significant portion of its value. Naspers also needs to address the concerns about its media dominance in South Africa. It must work to ensure that its media outlets are truly independent and that they reflect a diversity of voices. Naspers' story is a microcosm of South Africa's journey. It is a story of transformation, controversy, and resilience. It is a story that continues to unfold. As Naspers navigates the complexities of the 21st century, it will be fascinating to see how it balances its global ambitions with its responsibilities in South Africa.